Okay. Welcome everyone to Blockchain Ireland Enterprise Working Group webinar series. My name is Ian Keane, and today we have a special guest, Joaquim Matinero Tor, who is going to give us his perspectives on regulation and central bank digital currencies. Joaquim, welcome, and thank you for joining us. And I'd like to hand over to you now to present.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to be here. I will try to share what's going on regarding to central bank digital currencies, what's the main point and what's the pros and cons, and also what are the projects that are developing right now, not just in Europe, but also in America and Asia. And we know that China with the digital yuan, it's on the top of this race. And we hope that this small presentation is fine for us. And please jump any question you got it. It's fine for me. From my side, I'm a banking and financial lawyer from a Spanish law firm called Roca Junyent. It's a really well-known firm. I'm also related to fintech and blockchain projects in the last 6 to 7 years. And nowadays, cryptocurrencies has been gaining so important due to their value, but also blockchain technology are developing and providing new solutions to the problem that we have in the past. And hope you enjoyed this presentation, and find that anything that you could provide or any other point of view will be grateful, because it's a decentralized world. Everybody knows a little bit of that, and all the inputs, it's great for me too. Well, to start of that, we are talking about the change of paradigm, because we've been talking about the currencies for ages. We've been talking about electronic money the last 20 years due to internet, but nowadays blockchain technology has bring us the cryptocurrencies, and the new generations, millennials, and also the Z generation think that these kind of assets, they belong to them, and they prefer to invest in cryptocurrencies before to shares, to derivative or structured products. So we have to take a closer look. Also, the regulator has understood that due to this pandemic, things has to change, and we have to keep innovating and providing new solutions to the problems that we have or still have in our jurisdictions. And for that one, I think that we could say that not just central bank, also Bitcoin community and Ethereum community, that it's getting bigger and bigger. Great projects as Chainlink, Polkadot. We have also seen the problematic regarding to Ripple. And that's everything that brings us to this Copernican turn, that the thing has been messing up and started again, but the things will not be back to the way that's been before. For that, I would say that the central banks or the great investment banking area that were 2 or 3 years ago say, I'm not going to invest never in my life in Bitcoin. This is like a Ponzi scheme. Nobody trusts us. I'd say that Groucho Marx will be really happy with that, because it's 100% true. If you don't like my principles, no matter, I have others. Then it's what happened with JP Morgan, America, and Merrill Lynch, also Mellon. They start investing in Bitcoin. They are thinking that these kind of products will be quite valuable. But also the central bank has decided that they have to figure out new solutions that can impulse the economic policy, not just by the way of printing money, but providing new applications and new solutions to that. For that reason, we're going to start with this taxa economy, where you can figure out all the kind of money that we have those days, the past, the cash that we already know, the community money, the bank deposit, the virtual currency. And the main issue is that when we are looking to cryptocurrency, we know that they are 100% decentralized. We got the permissioned and then the permissionless. But now we have the central bank digital currencies that are in the middle, because they are issued by central banks. For that reason, they are centralized. They are not decentralized. It's one of the main points. And the other point that I want to make it clear, that when we talk about CBDCs, it's not blockchain. We're not talking about blockchain, because they are being issued by a central bank. It's 100%. They know the amount. No matter to that, it's possible that it's what's happening in China. They're in a second floor. They provide DLT technology to create smart contracts. But when anybody asks you if CBDC is a new kind of cryptocurrency, it's not a cryptocurrency. It's a centralized digital currency issued by a central bank that can provide you two types of CBDCs that we're going to explain it later, but they are not cryptos. And for that one, we have countries like Sweden that we know that the cash is near zero for the last decade. And also China, they think that technology will help to provide to the rural area of China to have access to the economy and try to invest it and not being physically. So keep in mind to that point, it's not decentralized and we cannot call it cryptocurrency. It's a mix of a banknote and a digital money or e-currency. It's a mix of them, but it's not a crypto on that sense. To start talking about money, we know that things has happened a long time ago. We got the first coin under the Lydian king of Croesus. It's the part of Anatolia in Turkey. It's the first step that we got to something that is called money. Then we got the first paper money that's created by the Chinese 100 years before Christ. In 1950, we got the first credit card in US. So on, we already know that in 2008, we got Bitcoin. In 2022, we got the first time of the CBDC of China, the e-renminbi, or also called digital yuan. And we hope at the end of this year, we got a CBDC, at least in Europe. We could say the e-krona is the main project that is working hard. Also, we got Ukraine working on the Stella group to create a CBDC, but it's on a early stage. And we're gonna share and we're gonna know why CBDC it's talking right now, or it's on the papers also with the valuation of Bitcoin, but it's not, it's not rocket science because we're not creating something really new. The euros have been digitalized a long time ago, but the difference at this point is that the central bank would understand that they need a strong digital euro because they can provide solutions in case of pandemic, in case of providing aids, and not necessarily doing it due to the retail banking system, just doing directly to the citizens by themselves. That's the first CBDC that we have knowledge, or at least kind of CBDC that is quite practical. It's a $10 banknote. It's around the First World War. And it was created, you could see that's the word Hawaii on the set, and we said why Hawaii and why it's a CBDC. Well, we call it a CBDC because these dollars, they were used by the Allies during the First World War. And in the case that these dollars have been or falls into enemies' hands, automatically, if they try to buy or do whatever with these dollars, their value is automatically zero. That's why CBDC has been created, not just because the value of money, because they can protect in case of fraud, in case of money laundering. The digital yuan has something really, I will not say funny, but it was shocking, provoking. That's what when they issued the first e-renminbi, it was 5-6 months ago, was like a lottery system, and the people that they received this digital yuan, most of them tried to buy flying tickets to flying away from China, and they noticed that it was prohibited to buy plane tickets using digital yuan. That's why the Chinese government has decided that you cannot buy alcohol, like you cannot buy flying tickets to go away China, or to buy any kind of things that they are not accepted. As we already know, we got these points, or we got this point schedule that you have to comply with the system on the Chinese government. If you are become purple, I think it's the worst part. You are almost outside I would say the citizenship, and it's really hard for them because they have several problems about that. Introduction, we just pointed out why it's cryptocurrencies, why there are pros and cons, why they think that now is the time to issue this kind of new digital payment system, but also it's related to four main points. One, it's the interest on technological innovations to the financial sector. We have been seeing in the last 10 years that have appeared crowdfunding companies, crowd lending has been also regulated, e-money companies. Also, they have been looking the way that to figure out that not being connected 100% to Target2 or Swift. They think that there are a lot of innovation, and banks have to give access with this new connection to fintech, because they provide solutions that the banks cannot do, and the bank has to be focused to their own core banking system. Also, the new players that have been in the markets and the service intermediation, they need to find a way that they are all connected and not being connected just with the bank. They have to be connected to the people directly or to the European Central Bank. Other point is like cash near zero. We have pointed out the Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. The population have been using credit cards or debit cards for ages, and sometimes you try. I remember 2 years ago, I've been in Stockholm and I haven't used a krona at all. I was waiting for use my kronas, and everywhere I go, I say, no, please pay by card, at least a coffee. Then it was quite funny because I come back to Spain with my kronas and not having used it once. And the last one, and I think that's the thing that has pushed the Federal Reserve in the States or the European Central Bank in Europe to keep one step forward during this pandemic is the way they grow interest in digital tokens. We've seen it that you go on the streets and people talking over Bitcoin as they're talking about the match against Liverpool and Man U. So it's really hard to understand that when people talk about cryptocurrencies, it's on the streets and they try to stop it and say, okay, it's not a cryptocurrency, but they will have the features of some cryptocurrency that you will be protected by the European Central Bank. We will give you a way of wallet that has been protected. You're not going to lose the private key. So you will always have the way to be protected. But as we said, CBDCs will appear on the market, but cryptocurrency will still alive on the side, because cryptocurrency people live with that and they give a solution to the problem they got it, and will keep living in our ways. So as a main definition that we could say that to people that ask what's the main definition about CBDC, is a digital form of money issued by central bank, different from the traditional reserve or settlement account balance. That's the main definition, that if you have to write a paper, that's the one that you have to use it. And the way they are connected to the main authority is that they can maintain and facilitate a monetary policy, so they are not cryptocurrencies. One example to that, and related to also to the digital yuan, it's like not if you commit a fraud or if you commit a violence act, your CBDCs for a time could be valued zero, or for a monetary policy, if you receive CBDCs due to aid calling from the European Union or the state, they said, okay, you have to spend your CBDCs in 2-3 months, 2-3 weeks, whatever. If you're not using in 2 or 3 weeks, then the value of your CBDCs will be 20% less. It's a way to increase the consumption, that people to spend more money, to try to help to other economies. It's a way to impulse some strategies to, I don't know, I would say, try to invest in your closest stores regarding to vegetables and fruits. If you spend your CBDCs to that, you will have a discount and it will not cost like this. It's like a kind of monetary policy and a digital currency at the same time.
Joaquim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
It sounds like we've got monetary policy, but also the central banks have the ability to implement fiscal policy. So normally the politicians of the government we elect do fiscal policy. It seems like there's an awful lot of power can be given to the central banks that they can determine how we spend our money. In some ways, that could be good to kind of bring about a little bit of inflation or to kickstart the economy. I can understand that, but to be, let's say, crude or cruel, right? It could have the opposite effects. Where do the central banks get their authority to implement fiscal policy? Have you researched that?
Yeah, I've been researched that. Well, we know that the digital euro has been published a report at the end of the summer. We have been, they have been asking to everyone to send their worries about it, and I think it was close around. But as you said, the fiscal policy is from every state. The European Central Bank cannot decide it. I think that they they are jumping to the pool with the eyes closed. I think they don't know yet which kind of CBDCs we're going to have it. It will be a tokenized or a certified, will be to everyone, or to retail, or just for a small piece. I think there are two main issues to CBDCs. One is the one that you've been pointing out, to the tax point of view, that they can at least push you or enforce some activities because they wanted to spend money. And the second one is the traceability, because if you're using a token, they know why the first is which token you got it, and the second one, the way that you spend the token. And we already know that we like to spend our money the way that we want, and we don't want to be controlled. But on that, it's really hard to be clear away with where's the limit. And I think that been submitted around 4,000 queries about digital euro at the end of January, and most of them were regarding to privacy and the way they've been tracking. Then I think that maybe Zcash, it's a cryptocurrency that everybody knows that's a solution that could be used. And I think we are in an early stage, at least with digital euro, to talk about. But I'm sure that the tax will be at least blocked. I think the CBDCs will have ruled just by the European connection. And regarding if they can delete or at least tax your CBDCs, has to be ruled or at least written. I think it's quite early, and I think that has to be discussed this point, because it's really hard, because you're losing your privacy, or you're losing a way of being anonymously to being 100% controlled.
Very good.
Yeah. Hi, it's Pearse.
Hi, hello, Pearse.
Yeah, hi. This is great. It's fantastic, and you're right. There is real issues around privacy, and more importantly, control. In other words, I'd rather know that my 100 CBDCs are under my control and under the control of a central banker. But one question, and you raised it there. I have a number of clients who are in the business, and one in particular is in the business of disaster relief, or that's how they started.
Yeah.
They would, let's say, refugees, a card with 100 units loaded onto the card, and the refugee could only spend it in that shop to buy those things. And during this period, which is exactly to a certain extent how you've described this new innovation. In other words, there's that element of control. So I've been wondering how these differ from e-money or a voucher, or the answer is very difficult.
Yeah, well, it's really difficult because, as you said, I like to say that CBDC, it's like 0.5% it's a banknote, 100% is digital money or e-money. I think they are trying to give the current cash some intelligence, or at least that you can just spend this money to certain products. Because we already know that nowadays retail banking, they're closing their offices. You're not seeing offices, and the new generation prefer to go into the dentist, going to the bank. Nobody goes to the bank. They are doing mostly everything online. But the second one is everyone has a cell phone or a smartphone. Then it's good too, because you receive an aid to spend, I don't know, because you have a difficult time. You have to spend the CBDCs to pay taxes, to pay the light, to pay for food or water, whatever. It's good that it's just using by that. They can control that the aids are just use it, and they are sending directly these aids to the citizen. They are not sending to third party that we already know that sometimes when you send the money, at least they receive 10,000 million euros, but at the end they just receive the people at least 8, and 2 has already disappeared. I think it's that good for some points, but the other one, I think that it has to be stopped, or at least minimized, that this anonymity and also the trackability has to be shaded and has to not to be clear, because it's really hard that you can be 100% tracked. And I would say that something, I don't know, on Wednesday night, it's Champions League games. I like to go to the TSCO and buy some beers, but I don't like that the central bank knows that every single Wednesday go and buy beer, come on, it's something that's private. I use my money the way that I want, and nobody knows to know why I use my money in the way they use it, and they can also control me. I think it's something that we don't have to sell this privacy that we have already sold due to this social media application. But when we are talking about money, that's the way you live. It's something that has to be talked and discussed from a technical point of view. But the other side, regarding the way that you're talking about aids, I think it's pretty clear and it's pretty useful. And I think the European Central Bank and other banks can catalyze this money to directly to the people that they need it, and you don't need intermediates that they take commissions and they take fees that they don't deserve that.
But here's an interesting one. The people who need it, you use the word who need it, but actually who need money from the state? Well, people who receive social welfare. So that's like a voucher. And now the state would wish to control, the Department of Social Welfare would be interested in knowing how that money is spent. It is public money, and maybe in placing restrictions on how you can spend it. So obviously it's a great vehicle for state control, but we know that, and you're going to talk about that.
It could be a great vehicle for control, but I think that they are also thinking in a way that they are another pandemic, another, I don't know, a climate disaster or whatever. They have to send money as soon as possible to do whatever. And they know that printing money and sending money, it's hard and it takes time, or sending to the main state, and the states then regulates the way they're gonna give these aids, and the way they're doing it's taking time, and sometimes the people that are living there are waiting ages until they receive this money. Then sending money directly, it's good. The other way, that's another point that the European Central Bank pointed out on the Sphere report, was regarding the way that reduced the state intervention to banks and dismissing the way the too big to fail. Okay, banks, if we start using CBDCs directly and you're receiving that, and you can compare that, all this retail area that banks are doing right now, that it's not a really important activity, because most of people are using their credit cards and not going anymore to the bank. Then the banks are getting little, and they are focused in their investment area on core banking, also connected to fintechs, that the way that Europe wants to import this new fintech area and try to create new environments and new ecosystems, and helping that the banks are not getting as big as they were at the end of the 90s or during the 2000s. I think it's another point of view, and it's really important. And also it's to create a way of competition between the payment systems. People understand that you cannot work just with MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and so on. You have several ways of paying right now, and also cryptos have shown that it's another way of doing that outside of the capitalism system. So I think it's good that these CBDCs has jumped on the table, but I think we have to keep walking, keep talking. We are at an early stage, and your points, Pearse, are pretty clear. And I think that will be on the top of that, because people is worried about, and not just the people, also the states, because if in Spain or France, they receive a lot of amount of money, and then they're not doing nothing, or just paying some fees to some advisor and so on. Come on, the politicians, they are also controlled, and politicians don't want to be controlled at all. We already know that.
Just briefly, this reminds me of Gresham's law on money, that bad money drives out good money. So CBDs, which are under control, could be seen as bad money. So you spend that first on the things you're allowed. Then you have a second class of money that's more private. And one other final point, we always consider about individual sovereignty with currency, but I think you touched on it. Enterprises will not use money that's fully traceable, because their supply chain is as important as their intellectual property as the products they produce. So if you have some sort of blockchain where you could figure out how Apple, for example, make the iPhone, they would never use it. So that gives me some kind of encouragement that we will get our privacy. And to your point, Joaquim, that the central banks are targeting enterprises. So we'll need enterprise grade security. Anyway, back to you, Joaquim.
Yeah, well, just another point out to that. I think that, for example, that is happening in Singapore, a pilot regarding to CBDC that's done by the DSB Bank. It's like using just CBDCs for the banking system and sending money between the Singaporean banks, doing by themselves because it's quicker, it's faster, and the costs are lesser. I think it's great. It's a good way, and nobody if it's trackable because it's a closed system and nobody think. I think it's good, and also to the public administration area, they has to use a kind of that, because if you're using private banks that cost you fees due to the public administration, come on, if you have a closed circle of that of money, that is more efficient and give you transparency.
But
I think
yeah,
for
yeah,
this
come on.
example,
Yeah.
yeah,
But,
yep.
but that example is a bit like the settlement coin, and that already exists, you know.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, but
intra-financial.
but we already know that, well, at least states and organizations don't like to have not the control on that. They want to have something centralized, and we have to understand that until blockchain became a planetary internet, because I'm not talking just for the world internet, because you know that if a American citizen is on Mars, you apply the American law for sure. So we need this blockchain network, not the Bitcoin and the Ethereum network, that's an international network, as happened with internet on the past, until we can, well, at least truth or rely to decentralize 100%. And the states would like to have control to this network if anything happens, because they want to have their own nodes and do it by themselves. At least in this first step, and we've been discussing with several people related to the sector that we are not on the 1996 or 1998 on the early stages of the internet. We are back to that. We are at the end of the 80s or the beginning of the 90s. Blockchain have a lot of solutions. Yeah, that's true, but I think we have to create more structures that people understand it and rely to this decentralized technology to have this killer app that everyone understood, and also governments understand that they have to, I don't want to say the way to give or share, to understand that decentralized way is the most efficient way, that the most trackable. I think it's the main point, and we have to understand that the CBDC is centralized and it's not blockchain.
Absolutely, and arguably what we're talking about here is not money at all, in the sense that at the individual level, a lot of the use cases strike me as being a voucher. Here is a unit, you can spend it in that shop for that. Yeah. That's a voucher. We already have those. And at the wholesale level, what people are talking about, intra-bank settlements, I mean, that's a token. That could easily be done by a token that you just, you cash out at some point. The use case for this thing is very hard to understand. Plus, it's very ironic that the most democratic of inventions, based upon the white paper for Bitcoin, becomes a vehicle for state control is beyond ironic. But I interrupt you.
No, Pearse, you are 100% sure. Come on, if we've been talking about blockchain, we're talking about CBDC and so on, it's also thanks to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has jumped on the table and overnight and give us a new way of power, a new way of spending, and a new way of feature. So I think that they are trying to do something that it's a mixture of trying to sell that's the control or the authorized cryptocurrency, and it's not a cryptocurrency, but the states will rely, or at least will test that before accepting any kind of crypto, that they don't know where they're coming from, they don't rely, they don't understand the technology sometimes, and that's honestly, that's the example that we've been talking. You've been thinking, wow, it sounds like a e-money. It's a, yeah, well, it's a Frankenstein, would say. It's a mixture of that. A mixture of a banknote and a bank deposit and money. They give that some features, and well, we can say that it's useful, it's not useful. You will use these CBDCs for, I don't know, to pay taxes, because we know that in Switzerland, in Zug, you can start paying your taxes with Bitcoin and with Ether, but on the other part of the world, it's not possible. I think with CBDC, you have to pay a tax. It will be 100% deducted without asking anything. Also, you cannot say to your retail bank, okay, I'm not going to pay this phone bill because my kid has been playing, I don't know, Fortnite all day long and they have been buying skins and so on. I'm not going to pay. With CBDCs, they will be deducted and you don't have anything to say to that. There are two main ways of classification of the CBDCs. One is the token-based, Pearse was pointing out. And the other one is account-based. The token-based, we already know it will be a token that will be issued by the central bank, will be for everyone. So it will be a universal way of payment and to retail operation. Or the other example is the way they've been doing in Singapore right now. It's just the wholesale CBDC. So just certain agents will have access to this token and they will use it to certain operations as a way of testing. We got Singapore. Also, I think that Uruguay tested the wholesale CBDC. Well, I think there will be a mixture at that point. And the account-based CBDC, I think it's quite difficult to that because that will be a great infrastructure for the European Central Bank, at least at a European level, due to every single citizen, well, European citizen must have a bank account open in the central bank that can provide, well, our status about our CBDCs. That will be difficult. It will be 100% centralized and will be quite problematic. Someday this new structure falls down, everyone will lose the access to their CBDCs, not just one bank. That will be a great massive disaster. I don't think that they will implement that. Also, restricted accounts to CBDCs. I think that will be useful if European Central Bank decide that some issues or some aids that will be shared to retail banks, the retail banks in whole Europe receive these CBDCs and then give loans. I don't know, it's another way of thinking. That's the main difference between account-based and token-based. I think the token-based is most useful. People will start using. They are new generation accepts cryptocurrencies. They know how to use it. It will be a wallet. It will be on your phone or on your computer, and you will introduce your password or you will send the tokens. But at the end, people would not differentiate the way they are spending current euros or current digital euros. I think that you could use both, and in the way that you will have access to CBDCs, you will pay to that way, or you will pay to euros. I think they will make it everything much easier. That's one of the points that well, Ian and Pearse pointed out before. That was the way the control, or at least the tax issues. It's about we can consider CBDCs intelligent money, or the way that not just intelligent, that's 100% trackable. Well, without CBDC, we know the cash that nobody knows what we pay. Of course, if we use our credit card, our bank, we know why on when we use it and which kind of products we're buying. But with CBDC, not just the way that which store we're buying whatever and which amount, we know which kind of product we are buying and they are connected. So your privacy could be affected to that. And that's one of the issues that in Europe has been pointed out. Also in Sweden, in Sweden, they are thinking how to provide not also this privacy, also the near field token to be connected and to use it offline, not using it to everything connected. You can expand it offline and nobody knows which kind of product, and then said, okay, I've expanded 100 CBDCs. I will not say in which kind of product, but I just expanded 100%. I can certify that, but I'm not gonna say when and where I have used that. Principles to the CBDCs, there are three: do not harm, coexistence, and innovation and efficiency. The first, do not harm, as we already know, a new way of money has to be connected to the public policy objective. They could not interfere to the European economic or centralized way of doing it. So the mandate is, okay, we're gonna use these CBDCs, we're gonna use them, but they're gonna be 100% under our new policy. And well, Mrs. Lagarde has pointed out to that, okay, it's something new, but we will be under the same control, the same regulation, and the same status as the other way we are doing. Coexistence, they have to be, will be coexistent with cash, with central bank money, with reserve bank accounts, and it's a new opportunity, a new alternative, but it's not something outside to the economical system. And the third point, we say that the innovation and efficiency using CBDC, they think that could prevent, was a new way of just, I would say, just closing something that they are not beneficial to the economical area, or some kind of third parties that are providing some services. And if they can delete that, they will be more competitive, they will be more efficient. And so it will be easiest way to early adopters to use CBDCs and not moving to cryptocurrencies or stable coins that can provide the same of the most feature of CBDCs, but just the way they're saying that this new money are used by a central bank, that people rely on that, and the European money in any case will be 100% convertible one-to-one to each current euro, that will give to the citizens, well, at least a way of being safer and not using these new markets that are sometimes they can there's a lack of liquidity. That's a main diagram. They are comparing between traditional central bank money and CBDCs, the difference between token and outcome based. And I would say that the main point, it's not if they are transferring peer-to-peer or if they are permanent availability or the limits. The main point we said it's anonymity. That the token based, they are struggling to that and cannot certify that 100% anonymous. So I think that there are other technology, I don't know right now, that can provide us with a stopping or saying that, okay, you can do whatever transactions, but nobody will have access to that, at least that you provide it on other services or using another application to any neobank that can track your products and at least can, with algorithms and so on, can understand your main issues or the main ways that you're spending that money. I think that's the main point. Now we're moving to the features. I think it's if something that you want to clarify, I do it. Okay, if there's no questions, I'm moving to the main first. Yeah, okay. To the main features that we got it, we say that they are convertible, convenient, accepted, and available and lower cost. Well, we're gonna start with the last one, lower cost. Okay, if it has a cost, CBDCs, people will not start using that. Then I would say there will be 100% free to have CBDCs. Okay, I got 1,000 euros in my bank account. I want to send it and got it CBDC. It will do it automatically. Everyone will use it, and that's the first thing, because if not, people will move to electronic money, still using their Visa or MasterCard, or going to cryptos. Accepted and available, everyone has to use it, and what we call the new first circle, that's the main that you can use it, CBDCs without internet connection. If you are on the countryside, you can use it, and then you are online, then they deduct it. Convenient, that will be easy as using cash, and convertible. We're talking about that every single CBDC will have an stability, will be related to the current yuan, to the current dollar, to the current brand, South African brand, whatever, but you can convert this to cash in just 1 second, and it will be at the same value. The system features that we were talking with Pearse, well, it will be a great system that will have to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It will be scalable for sure, will be interoperable, will be flexible and adaptable to the changing conditions. Well, we know that it will be a main system that will give us the same banking system that we have right now, but will give us the way that has to be protected, that nobody could have access to that, but we have to say that it's a centralized system, and if it's a centralized system, it could be hacked. We don't know the way they will do it, but could be, because if it's something is centralized, they have just one point to put the focus, and could be affected to any kind of hacker attacks or cyber attacks. We have to take care about it. And now we're going to start jumping all over the world to talk about the different pilots, projects, developing areas. I just got this map. It's painted in different colors. The yellow one, it's on a research way. The orange one, it's just developing. The green one, it got just a pilot, and they are testing it. The blue one, they are inactive because they said they stopped it because they focus on other things like COVID. And the gray one is they have canceled the project because they are not interested right now on getting a CBDC. Do you want to talk to any particular project, or I don't know if there's something that you are interested in that, or I just jump it and just talk
Well,
it?
maybe talk about digital currencies in developing nations. I think there's a great use case there, and it doesn't even have to be central bank. It could be even Bitcoin, Litecoin. Some of these seem to do well. And particularly there was a minister in Nigeria, I've forgotten his name, was worried that Bitcoin was destroying the Nigerian currency, which I've forgotten the name of.
I've read that I think a week or 2 weeks ago. Well, one of the things that we have to understand, and that is why Libra, already known like Diem, the Facebook crypto, has not been on the market, was that because once they want to do it, and of course there was a stable coin related, I think it was 3 or 4 different currencies to make it stable.
It was a basket of currency,
yeah, it was a basket of currency. The main point was it was a great example that I've heard from one, a great blockchain expert. I think he is, I don't know if he is German or Austrian, I don't know yet, but he said, one example, think about, I don't know, they said Myanmar, a country that it's 100% dollarized, that their own currency has no value, people are not using at all, they prefer to got dollars because it's more stable and can buy things. Myanmar, almost 100% of population, they are not using no WhatsApp, no Telegram, no whatever, they are using Facebook Messenger to communicate between each other. Okay. Well, I would say the 1st of March, the Diem money jump on the market, and all people in Myanmar decide that prefer to have Diems instead of dollars. Okay, they got it. They got it Diems, and people are not getting dollars. And for one, hacker just attack Facebook in Myanmar and just keep all these currencies. What happens? You have destroyed a country in an overnight because you take it all the monetary power. And also the governments, they are afraid of that. Because in number of users or inhabitants, Facebook is the country #1 of the whole world because mostly everyone is on Facebook. So they stop Libra's project, and Diem they are doing, but I think that it's not the same that it was in the past. But also, as you said, cryptos are just saying to not just to the banks, to the state, that there's a way to moving outside to the capitalism projects, that you can live in this new environment or new reality, and they have to take any kind of actions to stop that. That's the way that CBDCs are moving from different approaches. I'm gonna share with you the main project they are right now. And regarding to this, I said that any project that could affect to state, as you said, to Nigeria, people are, I think that Nigeria is the #1 country per capita. They are getting Bitcoin because they prefer to get Bitcoins instead of using their own currency or using dollars. Also, that's happened in Venezuela. People prefer to get Bitcoins to prevent the great economic recession they got in the country instead of getting this petro cryptocurrency or their own Bolivar. So we have to figure out that some countries are afraid that they are losing control to control not just taxing, but also control about there will be people that became, I will not say rich, but will have a better salary and not working at all or just trying to leave the country. Because I would say if Africa start receiving digital yuan as a way, because most of African countries, they are funded by Chinese government in the way of giving back any kind of materials or minerals or any kind of resources that the Chinese cannot give it due to their own country. So if they got digital yuan, we could ask ourselves, why don't we, at the end, we are using e-renminbi in Europe, in the States, because they give us a feature, and if the retailers accept them, why not? That's also a new economical or digital world, which will be the main currency that will rule the world, and the Chinese are moving forward. And I don't know what's going on with the new American administration, because when they've been elected, say, yeah, we're gonna study, we're gonna do it, but there's no project on the stage. There's nothing about it. The Boston Reserve with the Mint, they have been pushing to do some kind of pilot. I don't know what's going on in that. And now, if you want it, I'm gonna show you 4 examples, and then we can come back to these cryptos and other kind of project that you are interested. Well, welcome. We cannot travel anywhere, but that's Bahamas. That's the first CBDC that's on the market. People are using that, I think, since the end of September and 1st of October. The first phase is just using it by the inhabitant of Bahamas, because the main issue of the government that they want to be zero paper, not paper at all, and using everything as digitalized. So they are on the first steps. I think they are doing fine. It's around 62,000 population that could use CBDCs. And at the end of the third trimester, I think they will start using it by the public administration. Then it's good. It's a nice example that people are using a CBDC, and it's a small country. Also, yesterday, Barbados said they are ready to issue their own CBDC. And if that starts working in small places related to tourism, and it's fun, well, I think it's a good potential, and we will see if that figures it out, or we have to adapt this project to other kind of more development countries. Going to Europe and North America, we got the Sweden one that we already been talking, the krona. Also today they say they are trying to know how to create a scalability of this new CBDC, and also the near field. They got problems to the offline project, and they extended the project until the end of 2021. I think the beginning of 2022 we'll have the krona on the market. The other countries, they said, okay, whatever the European central banks, it's okay for me. And Italy, you know that they have been difficult problems due to this political, and at the end, Mario Draghi is on the front of that. I don't think they would say anything. On the States, we already said what's going on the States. On Canada, they are developing their own CBDC. They've been connected to the Stella project with Japan, and we hope to know more news by the end of the year. That's the main point of the digital euro that we've been talking about. It was the main point they said they have to cover before issuing a CBDC. I think that we're not gonna see a digital euro at least in the next 3, 4, 5 years. I think they will take time to that. I would like to got it earlier, but I know that if once you use a CBDC, you cannot turn it back. Then they will make that everything is clear, it's safe there, that all the 26 countries, they are fine to that. Then also we have to understand that in your situation in Ireland, you also have to be quite related what's going on in the UK, and know if they will go their own CBDC, how you will be connected and the way you exchange. In South Asia, I think we have to talk about China. China, they are doing fine. They are testing in several great cities like Guangzhou, Xinhui, Xi'an. They are giving these lottery CBDCs. People are using it by WeChat Pay and Alipay. All main industries, they have been obliged to accept the CBDCs. And also we know that WeChat is a new way of proving the national identity. So the WeChat application gives you this identity that we are looking that maybe someday the identity on blockchain is a reality, and people can rely on blockchain to show that they exist and the way they move and well they age and so on. Also to this digital yuan, it's a mixture between a centralized CBDC, but also create on a second floor smart contract, as we said, to control, to give access, to give new solutions to that. So I think that the government said that due to the Beijing Winter Olympics in 2022, there will be 100% available to everyone, and it will show the world that they are using this new digital currency and try to erase the traditional cash to any single part of China in the next 5 to 10 years. Singapore, as we said, also DSB Bank has created an exchange. Well, you can exchange not just cryptos, but it's created also to have access to CBDCs. And I think the other countries, Australia was working with consensus to developing their own CBDC. In Japan, the Nihon Genko, the main central bank, they say, okay, we are accepting this CBDC, but we have to understand if our values, we know that Japan is really traditional in that point of view, and if it's not fixing 100%, they're gonna use it the CBDC. India, it's against to all cryptocurrencies, are against all CBDC. Yeah, it's everything is stopped right now. We talk about the digital yuan. In South America, just Switzerland in South America, Uruguay, they are being testing a pilot, a wholesale pilot. It's fine, but they said if the other countries closer to them, they are not doing anything. We know that the e-real in Brazil, it's quite connected with the Russian government, and they are studying on that, but nor Argentina, nor Bolivia, nor Colombia, Ecuador decided to cancel it. Venezuela, we know the economical situation. So I think that CBDCs in South America, at least right now, would not be a reality. To understand why the CBDCs are important, or why we are talking right now, it's because these, the United States Reserve, the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, also a digital project, the World Economic Forum, and so on, they are publishing reports and pressuring the states to talk about it, to being connected. The BIS has been published, I think, 6 or 7, connected with the main central bank of the G8. So it's not something that they are kidding about it, or just trying to move away our attention to the COVID pandemic. So it's something that will be for sure on the news in the following month, and I hope they will try to figure out which kind of currency will get it digitalized, and which are the features, and how that will affect to ours as a citizen, but also as professionals, to our way of doing our profession, and to understand if that fits our needs or not. To conclude, I would like to share this picture. It's the last one. It's like CBDCs, okay, they said, oh, it's a CBDC, and they try to say that they are cryptos, or they're trying to say that they are the good cryptos that are created for that way. And they're showing CBDCs, and behind of that, we got a decentralized network. Come on, CBDCs are not decentralized. CBDCs are not cryptocurrencies. CBDCs are 100% digitalized. That has been already done in the past, that people has digitalized euro, but just creating a new way of connection and trying to make this intelligent money to use it in certain points, and also really interested to impulse the economic policy. Now it's your time to ask you what's on your mind. And for my point of view, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure. And if you need anything, you can contact me. And if you're coming to Barcelona, for sure, let me know. I will be happy to give you a tour and to show us our lovely Catalonia.
Excellent.
Super.
Oh, super. Mai, you arrived in a little late. Do you want to introduce yourself and maybe ask your question on the sand dollar?
Sure, absolutely. I don't know if you can see me. Sorry, apologies, but I couldn't access. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can indeed.
Yeah, I couldn't access through the Oracle Zoom. Bon dia, Joaquim.
Bon dia.
Barcelona algun dia.
Ai, quina il·lusió. Bon dia, Mai.
Que sí, que sí. No, m'encanta poder parlar en català, escolta. Thank you, Joaquim, because having spent the last 3 days absolutely head deep into discussions about crypto assets with both the OECD and the European Commission. The bombshell on Wednesday afternoon was the ECB presenting their opinion about MiCA. So yeah, I don't know, for those who've had a chance, within an hour of the ECB presenting their opinion to to the Working Party. Reuters was already writing about it. But the bombshell, I suppose, in it is that the ECB is pretty much a case of, we are going to issue CBDCs, maybe. We are going to issue a digital Europe, maybe. We think we're absolutely in every right under the treaty to do so, which was quite a bombshell in itself. But what's very interesting, and I know I wanted to ask you that, Joaquim, what I read, and I haven't finished, I have to admit, the almost 100-page opinion. What I understood is that the ECB thinks that in the future, if they want to issue a crypto asset, that it's not of payment nature or a CBDC, they're also entitled to do so.
Yeah.
So if the ECB want to start, their own Bitcoin, they could do that, which was, yeah. What do you think about that? Did you read that?
Yeah, I've read it, and yeah, that's true. It's a way that you've been reading on that and just looking at all these maybes. It's lovely because you've been reading to that, and at the end, well, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we're gonna start. Maybe we understand this disclaimers. Everybody knows that, but I think that they are people, or at least the CBDC. At the end, you are thinking that what they want to do, it's like Bitcoin. They know the Bitcoin has been successful. They know that people accepted doing nothing because Bitcoin has not been marketing at all, has not been publishing, has not got great partners. At least they got 3 or 4 celebrities. They said, okay, Bitcoin is the best thing that happened to my life, and then they have been ruined and so on. I think to that, they know that that was created due to the fall of Lehman Brothers on 15 September 28 in 2008. They said, okay, we rejected at the first sight, but now we need that because people accept it's a new way. Of course, Bitcoin is becoming a reserve of value, like our digital gold, but they want to do that. And come on, we know the administration, at least Central Bank, they copy what it's useful. They are not trying to create any kind of innovation because they know if they try something new and they fall, everyone say, why you try to do something different? Do it the way they has been doing for ages. And that's why I think that they want to create a Bitcoin. You're right, Mai.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Sorry, I should have introduced myself. I know there's a couple of people on the call who know me, Joaquim, and I haven't had a chance. So apologies for those I don't know on the call.
No, that's okay. I just so Mai, this has been recorded as well. So if you want to do it after, or I could stop recording and you can.
No, that's okay. Sorry.
It'll be going out on YouTube, so you'll be introduced yourself to the whole world.
No, that's fair enough. Well, my God, please let me know what was on YouTube. I would have absolutely made sure.
No, we're not streaming it, so I can edit this part out. So we're not streaming. So
that's great. That's great. And please, can you filter my very tired face after a whole month of homeschooling and working? Sorry, Joaquim. I am seconded into the Department of Finance here in Ireland. Although I spent 20 years in private sector in banking and insurance. I head up the financial advisory team for the Minister for Finance. We started looking at blockchain and cryptocurrencies 3.5 years ago. Been leading the department working group on the topic. So at the moment, I'm leading the MiCA file discussions with the European Commission. So internally, that's been, and I've obviously been part of Blockchain Ireland since the very start. So Pearse Ryan has been a usual blockchain buddy for a long time. So actually, I was in the European Blockchain Convention in Barcelona in January of 2019, I think it was at this stage. Wow. Oh no, 2020. Sorry, it was for.
Yeah, then we've been together there for sure because I was there too.
There you go. That was in the middle of that Philomena storm.
Yeah. The Philomena storm, like we've been there and we know well. Maybe we were gonna stay there for ages, but no, we can move it, and it was funny. We have to move because they have also several problems with another hotel. And we've been there, yeah.
Oh, very good. Because I was sorry, I was in a panel discussion. It was a very interesting conversation anyway. It had some people there from Dash and other parts. But yeah, the hotel the night before had burned down, guys. So there you go. You remember that?
I remember that.
Interesting. So sorry, Joaquim, I had written my comment was the sand dollar, because as far as I know, it's the only CBDC actually gone past pilot and is really. So I don't know whether you guys have looked at it.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking about it. We've been discussing about this. We are on the Sandalo has reached the first phase, and it's fine, and they are using it because I said it was Bahamas has around 62,000 inhabitants. They could use the CBDC. They are just using by a retail one, just buying things and so on. And on the thing is the third trimester of this year, they will start using the administration. I think it's quite good because we know that it's a small country or a small group of islands. They are start using a CBDC. We can check it out if the features they are using, they are fine. And if this solution, it's good to the public administration and also to the banking retail. Because if you start doing a CBDC in Ireland and it is a massive disaster, then you cannot turn it back. Yeah, Pearse.
It's Pearse. Yeah, and what I'm wondering was, well, number one, my observation was when you went around the world, those projects are all different. The drivers for those projects from a national perspective are quite different in many, many cases. So the driver in the Bahamas is different to the driver in China, and that's different to the ECB, I guess. But it struck me that the Bahamas project, and I don't know, but it effectively is a national prepaid card. I mean, I presume when I get off the plane in the Bahamas, I use my credit card and I buy 1,000 sand dollars. So it's effectively just a national prepaid card. Like you would use if you've been on a cruise ship for 2 weeks.
That's 100% sure, because what they want to avoid, it's not to create, as we were talking about, digital dollar, digital yuan, to create smart contracts and make something really specific, or at least using for, no, it's like a prepaid card. The people start using it. Not using cash money at all, not using paper, because when you use your credit card, everything you buy, the receipt, you got it on your mobile phone. And also, I think to impulse the tourism, that when you arrive to the hotel, say, okay, charge to my American Express card, I don't know, 50,000 sand dollars, and I go, and if I lost my card, nothing happened because it's related to my name. I think it's the way they try to impulse the tourism. Also, the inhabitants to start using cash, because the cost of preventing the cash altogether, that not just being robbed by anyone and so on. I think it's a small project, but it's still a CBDC. It has a meaning for that amount or group of islands. I think that we have to take a look for sure. Once the e-renminbi, or the digital one, also call it, it's on the market. Now there's when we're gonna see a full CBDC with the full features, and also quite politically, because it's linked to the Chinese government.
It would be interesting to see if Cuba do anything. I don't know what they're doing. But you can imagine
I don't know if they are doing anything. I know that the Russian government is working with the Brazilian government, at least with the government of Iraq and Iran. But with Cuba, I have no idea about it. I haven't read anything to that.
Yeah, it would be interesting because it would keep the expenditure in the official economy, but the downside would be that they wouldn't have any dollars to buy things abroad. That would be very interesting. I'm going to have to go. I have another call, and I just want to say thank you very much, and we'll connect later. That was absolutely fantastic, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Pearse. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Just my perspectives that I'll give. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Keane, I just wanted to sort of say, as the outsider listening, it's just fascinating and scary to think that, it's all about decentralization, but this is all about sort of control of finance potentially, and it's a bit sort of wow, bit of an eye opener and a different angle, because the studying I've been doing is all about decentralization and taking away, control from centralized banks and banking systems. And it's just fascinating to see the control that could come back in even more so with the things. So thank you. It's just a great insight.
No problem. Well, the key there is the C in CBDCs is central. So it doesn't need to be decentralized. And my own view, and I'm open to suggestion, is we're going to need both. We're going to need decentralized and centralized systems as we go forward. And CBDCs for me is just like in Europe, we have Payment Service Directive version 2, PSD2, where the banks open their APIs to other fintechs like Revolut, and we can send transactions. The next level of CBDC should give us API access, but 24/7 access to our money, not, be able to send transactions over the weekend and have them settled within minutes, rather than if I want to send money to Joaquim, it'll probably take 2 days, right? 2 business days. So to get to Joaquim. And I think the advantage here is once you open it up to enterprise, where I come from, I consider it hugely attractive that you can just plug in your ERP systems into your API system, which is CBDCs, and have another form of money to pay or to pay people and procure stuff. And that is hugely efficient, right? And it could be regular banks that will be able to give a credit line, if you like, of CBDCs to an enterprise, so they could go off and be cash buyers and get better value, and pass that cost savings onto the customers. So it'll either be utopian or dystopian, right? I think whatever way we end up, I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. And I'm just curious, because I run my own thought experiments. I think we'll have maybe multiple tiers of money, Joaquim. Back to Gresham's law, we'll have the bad money and the good money, right? CBDCs, if they don't fix the privacy, could be seen as bad money. But yeah. So thank you for that. Anybody else have any comments before we close off?
Just one from me. First of all, thank you very much. It's great to get proper detail. There's so many high-level articles and any content published, but it's great to get deep. So I really appreciate that. But it's a comment and a question, I guess, is I think that the thing that you're right, there's issues around private, public, decentralized, centralized, and how do you get people to adopt it in general and be happy to adopt it? And I think it is this idea of sovereign identity, and this, if we can get around this constantly logging on, constantly using passwords, constantly having to prove who we are. And I think if you give someone their money, that has to stop, because it's my money. And I think that's in there in the technology. But I do think that's where you get adoption, because you're just making it so easy that I don't have to spend my whole life persuading people who I am, which is effectively what we do. So it's a comment and a question. Thanks.
Yeah, well, Myles, I think that you needed it, because our identification on blockchain or whatever other system, you have to be proven every single day why and who are you. Then once you can solve this identity or this blockchain identity, that everyone is working on that, and also we've seen it, there are lots of projects working on the identity. I think that once we got, and we don't need to share our passport and say, okay, that's my name, that's my photo, that's the name of my parents, also all this kind of information, nobody cares about it, because the only thing that you have to share, okay, that you are over 18 or over 21 if you're in the state. And once we have this identity, and it could be decentralized, because nobody owns your identity, or at least nobody has to say that you are alive, because you are alive since the moment that you're born. Once we got that, also the adopters, we got the money too. I think it's, as you said, it's something that it's a Copernican term. It's collateralized, and it has to be a meaning. But until we don't got this identity globalized, it's really difficult that keep using our password, keep using double identification system, and so on. I think that you are right. That's the main point, and we have to find a way to clear, because I think that's 7 years that I've been working to identity, sovereign identity.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
I just wanted to give you a perspective, which is a little bit like turning it around. I saw WF in your last slide there, Joaquim, and you're rightly so. We are participating in the WF Digital Currency Governance Consortium, and you obviously know, right? There's about 8 different initiatives. We're participating in number 2, but obviously we're reviewing and helping out with all the other initiatives. What's been very interesting of the research that we've done over the last 6 to 8 months is that what we tend to see and discuss from a CBD perspective clearly is from a relatively safe democracy environment and a Western developed economy. And that's a very interesting point. When you start looking at potentially whether it be, it doesn't have to be even a CBDC, but even a cryptocurrency or a digital currency, and the fact that it's not private, It's, for example, if you're dispersing aid to a particular country that is just coming out of civil war, and people have to identify themselves in order to receive funds, that identity could be used against them by whoever has won, or is now in power. And it's just very interesting to see how we get sometimes tangled up in this, ideas, and we forget to see we're seeing it from our prism of reality, and that there's a very different reality somewhere else. So I would definitely encourage you all to keep an eye on the WEF. We're hoping to have research, and I said on all those different aid streams should be published sometimes in July or August. And certainly there's identity being covered there. There is a couple, 2 or 3 of them are on the technical side. I think there's 2 projects on the potential use of digital currencies for aid disbursements, for more about cross-border. So just something to keep an eye on.
Thank you very much, Mai. And as you said, I think that, has to be decentralized. You don't have to be tracked. And that has happened at the end of World War I, that the new government of Germany decided to track all the people by their religion, and they know where they are. And we already know what happened then in the Second World War, when they can figure out where all the Jews were living, and they've been tracked to that. Then decentralize the way of doing, because nobody owns the way that you being born, and also at least your nationality has to be done directly. So decentralized, it's the best way to that. But as Ian will say, we have to know that the central government, the centralized system, will try to figure out the way to keep the control, because if not, if they are losing the control, they are not a state anymore. So we try to at least show them there are solutions to that, and trying to convince them at least on a global level, as you're saying, to these reports, and try step by step doing great things for not just for us, but for the following generation that they are coming.
Brilliant. Will we call it a day, folks?
Can I ask a quick question, please? Yeah,
yes,
but first, thank you for the very details information of the digital currency in EU. My simple question then is that I actually participate with the digital currency in China with my business, despite the fact that I'm not a Chinese national. Will the digital currency in EU obviously will be for Euro as such? So we need to have the all 27 member states to agree with that. So it is a very different compared with China or India, America, as we just now gone through the transition period with UK. So UK will always hang on to their own currency. So my simple question then is that will digital currency in EU will be hammered with any bureaucracy if any member state is not happy to do that, or it does not matter if it's only for the payment system that not take on the digital currency or not? Thank you.
That thing is easier to answer because the European states, they are under the economical area, that they are accept the euro as their own currency. They don't have nowadays so power, so they will accept the CBDC for sure, and they have to be obliged to use that. Or once you are outside of the European Union, okay, you can accept it or not. And the way that you say that now that the UK it's not in the EU anymore, we'll have to figure out the way that how to accept them, how to be closed, and how to rely to them, because people that will move to UK or people in Ireland that moving to UK once or another could use the CBDCs or the UK CBDC that could create it. But I think that any state in the European Union would say no to this project, because it's like a new, I would say it's the new euro. It's the digital euro, and everyone that has accepted euro will accept that for sure.
Thank you for that. Sorry, one more last question. You make a very clear distinction between digital currency and cryptocurrency. What do you think the opinion and the view from the European Central Bank, if the digital currency of euro came out, if any enterprise that they have developed and issued stable coins, if the stable coin is packed with the digital currency, would that be something that is bring the two together? I mean, the digital currency as well as cryptocurrency.
Yeah, well, I said that due to MiCA regulation that Mike has pointed out, we're gonna got the exchanges regulated and will be, we try to the next version of the MiCA report, or the MiCA regulation will also include decentralized systems that they are not included right now. I'm sure that these exchanges will accept to enter to with your CBDCs and exchange to stablecoins and cryptocurrencies, and on the other way around. I think that has to coexist. They will be together, and they are. When people ask me why digital euro, why do you think? I think, well, it's a stable coin, and what people want, that people there they wanted to do, it's got the official stable coin, and not trying to go to Tether or to go to DICE or going to any kind of stable coin related to cryptocurrency, gold, or any kind of asset that being in centralized, and they know it, the people, they having their savings in something they can understand it and control. I think it's my opinion, but without Bitcoin and without cryptocurrencies, we'll not be talking about CBDCs for sure. We're still using our credit card, paying with the new iPhones, applications or whatever, but not talking about creating a CBDC because it was not necessary. On the other way around, China always has been showing initiative and could create kind of new currencies and so on, but we will not be talking about it if Bitcoin has not succeeded, not the crypto market has been got these values, and also has shown that blockchain technology can give some features that they think that they are useful to them. That's my main opinion.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Anybody else? 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll call it a day. Joaquim, thank you very much. That was very informative, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. Take care. Thank you very much to
Adeu,
all.
Joaquim.
Adeu, Mai, cuida't molt. Una abraçada.
Tu també, Una abraçada. Adeu.
Adeu.